All right, Shane. Hey, so we didn't want this to be a completely Alabama and Georgia podcast, given the fact that, hey, we like to tout ourselves as the only SEC show that really does touch on all these other teams. So we have got 13 teams, Shane, an NCAA record go into the postseason this year. Now, on Sunday, we're going to know where all these teams are going bowling, who they're playing against. We'll have all that coverage breaking down. But we thought it'd be fun to just kind of name which team we'd most want to see all these teams play in a bowl game. We're not trying to report where they're going to play, but just kind of the matchups we want to see. And I reminded Shane about 2-3 times to have his list ready, so I feel like he's writing it down as I speak. But
hey, can we pause this for a second? I did this list. Now I did it at 3 hours ago. No, 3.5 hours ago. But okay. I got the list in today, Mike, and it's one of those that I did. I wish, Mike, I paid attention and did it earlier because it felt like the longer I did it, the more I changed some of these. So now I just want to clarify. This isn't going to happen, a lot of these games. I know it. I know these matchups will not happen. But this is some of the matches. The way I did it, Mike, is the ones I'd love to see. Right. These two teams I'd love to see play each other in the postseason, even though it may be physically impossible. So I'm just, again, clarifying before you hear my list and say, well, dang, Shane, there's no way that could happen. I know. But just hear me out.
Well, let's start with the number one team in the country, Shane. Georgia, we got to assume slam dunk to be in the college football playoff, win or lose this weekend. Who is the matchup that you most want to see the Bulldogs play in the college football playoff?
Well, see, here we go again, Mike. Not fair, but because I had a couple of things here. You know what? Forget it. I got it, Mike. Here we go. I want to see Georgia and Michigan. Ooh. But deep down inside, Mike, I would love to see them hang about 100 points on Cincinnati. I mean, I would love to see them go out there and finish what UTEP couldn't.
I almost went with that one, Shane. I almost went with Cincinnati. Now, we did see that last year, and we've been kind of making fun of it all year. So I'm going to flip the script, Shane. I'm going to change it a little bit. I wanted to see him play Notre Dame. And I know we've seen that, in the past, but more than anything, I just think, we love to make fun of Notre Dame, just stole their coach down there in LSU. But
yes,
how fascinating would it be to see Notre Dame in the playoff without their damn head coach going up against, the world's biggest juggernaut, Georgia Bulldogs. So Michigan, Cincinnati, that would be good too. But for me, it's the ideal matchup for Georgia has got to be Notre Dame.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be great. We loved the last time they played. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Notre Dame kind of got back into it, and I think it kind of stole their thunder, and that's why they ended up making the playoffs there. I just think you could put it to rest. Having these two programs are not the same, and it seems like we do this every year, Mike. I mean, Notre Dame finds a way to trip into the college football playoffs, and then we say, well, I guess they shouldn't have been in there. No, they never should be in there. So, yeah, I like that matchup.
Now, how about Alabama, Shane? Who's the ideal bowl opponent for the Crimson Tide?
Oh, Mike, I went back and forth on this one, but I got to go. When I think Alabama, I got to think Ohio State.
Ooh.
Okay, and it's just I think that it would be a hell of a game. I think the fact that you have Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud on the field at the same time, it would just, they would have every NFL coach there in there. You know what I'm saying? Watching this thing. So I just think that would be a hell of a matchup. That's deep down inside I'd love to see again.
I went with Michigan State, Shane. So staying in the Big Ten here, but Nick Saban's former team, and this is another team that, feasted on a Big Ten schedule. They're number 11 in the country, but they'd probably be number 11 in the SEC had they had to go through that gauntlet. So I'd love to see Alabama whip up on either Michigan State or, kind of the same thing you said about Cincinnati. I mean, this is the worst Alabama team we've seen in 3 or 4 years. give them Cincinnati. Let them beat Cincinnati by 75, and maybe we'll find out how good those Bearcats really are. You know what?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at some point. So I love it. Go on, man.
How about Arkansas? Who do you want to see the Razorbacks play?
This is another one I got a little torn on, but I would like to see Arkansas and Oklahoma.
Ooh.
I mean, and go with me. The reason I'd love to see this matchup, Mike, is because we've already faced Texas. Mm-hmm. We saw how that ended. Might as well welcome the other guys to the SEC. So that's the one I'm leaning more toward. It's a close rivalry. Well, not really a rivalry, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. These guys aren't too far from each other. They're right there in the same recruiting hotbeds, probably going after the same players. It just, I don't know. When you're thinking about these guys coming to the SEC, selfishly, I'd love to go ahead and see that matchup with Arkansas.
You know, I actually considered the Sooners for them, Shane, but I'm going with a team that I think is actually a little bit higher ranked right now. I want to see them play Iowa in the Outback Bowl. Those are two iconic college football programs, and I think again, the way I just go into these thinking, Shane. I mean, Arkansas, you know, they're ranked. What are they ranked? Like 20, 25, something like that. While Iowa's number 13, and I think Arkansas will beat them by about 20 points. So I just want SEC to smash all these overrated Big 10, Big 12, all these garbage teams. You know what?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it.
How about the Auburn Tigers? Who do you want to see them play?
Oh, Mike. Every one of these, I go round and round. Part of me wanted to see the Penn State because I don't think this is the same Auburn team. I don't think this is the same Penn State team. I think we're going to have a different outcome, probably a lot more targeting in this one. But I ended up switching it there at the last minute because I'd love to see Gus Malzahn one more time. So give me UCF.
Hey, my bad. I didn't even think of that one, Shane. That'd be a great one. But for me, you know, this seemed like maybe we send Auburn out to play a Pac-12 squad, and I picked UCLA. We've already seen LSU go and face up against UCLA and unfortunately go down in Pasadena. So I want to see how they match up against an SEC West team that beat LSU. And this is the first year of the Las Vegas Bowl. How about Auburn, UCLA, and the Las Vegas Bowl? I'd watch that.
Oh, come on now, Mike. Man, I just wish we could do all these. Don't you? Wish you could see every bowl game.
How about it?
There's a guy out there, or a girl, that has done it, and I wish we were part of that team. So, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe 1 year, Shane. Maybe 1 year. So, speaking of LSU, who you want to see the Tigers play in a bowl game?
Oh, LSU. You know who I want, Mike? I want the Battle of Death Valley, the Battle of Tigers, the Battle of whatevers, you know. The last time these two teams met, it did not turn out the way LSU would like. I think we got a different story now. The way the LSU defense is playing and as bad as Clemson's offense has been short of South Carolina, I think that would be a hell of a matchup. They're strength on strength. So give me Clemson and LSU. That's who I'd like to see.
Now, I don't know if you know this, Shane, but LSU, they recruit the state of Texas pretty well, and they particularly recruit the Houston area. And I didn't realize this, Shane. Houston's number 21 in the country. Bring them on down because LSU may be 6-6. They may not even have a damn head coach. Well, they do now, but he won't be coaching in the bowl game. I just think it'd be fantastic if them LSU Tigers whooped up on the supposed number 21 team in the country to let everybody know that you can finish dead last in the SEC West and you're still better than the number 21 team in the country. And I guarantee you, if these two met, LSU would be the betting favorite. You know what?
Mike, I got so much flack this week off Top 25 because I said Tennessee Volunteers should be in it. But, Mike, I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of people in that top 25 that shouldn't be in there. And we all know it, but we put them in there because we have to for some reason.
Well, what team that's up there that deserves it, Shane? Ole Miss Rebels. Who do you want to see them Rebels play in a bowl game?
Ole Miss. Went back and forth on this one, Mike, and I couldn't choose, so I'm going to do them both. I went Ole Miss and Notre Dame for the first one, and my thought process was, You know, here we got Mr. Kelly coming down to LSU and everybody wanted Lane Kiffin. Maybe they didn't make that phone call, Mike. Maybe there was never an opportunity. Well, Lane can go up there and beat his team, beat their brakes off. You know what I'm saying? So part of me wanted to go that route. The other one wanted to go the Michigan State route just because I think that would be a hell of a matchup. One of the best offense against one of the best running games. I just would love to see the outcome there. So, yeah, give me – the more I think about it, I still like the Notre Dame. So give me Ole Miss Notre Dame.
Ooh, I like it. Now this one, Shane, this might actually come to pass here, but I want to see Ole Miss and Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl, that's a big deal for any SEC team, and Ohio State clearly not going to make the college football playoff now. So, you know, this matchup could come to pass there in New Orleans. And, you know, speaking of high-flying offenses, man, Ohio State, Ole Miss, over-under in this thing will probably be around 80 points. Matchups of two elite play callers, two elite quarterbacks. I think that's a dream scenario for me. Ole Miss, Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, think about what you signed up. You signed up Lane Kiffin. You took a chance on him, and look what he's turned your program around into. You're going against Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. Come on, Mike. Man, them Ole Miss fans are lucky.
Now, how about Mississippi State? Who you want to see the Pirate play in a bowl game?
Well, the opposite of good luck's bad luck. And the last time these two teams faced each other, it was not on my side or the fan side. I want Memphis, man. I want that same ref out there, and I want there to be I don't want this to come down to a punt. I don't want it to come down to a stupid, penalty that didn't get called. I want this just to be a game that Rodgers has about 600 passing yards. And puts them away. So give me the matchup again: Memphis, Mississippi State.
Ooh, I like that, Shane. But
give me my $100 back while we're at it. I'm putting $200 on this game.
This one I may have just picked it for the coaches, but I think this would be one hell of a matchup on the field as well, Shane. How about Mississippi State versus Oklahoma State? Mike Gundy, Mike Leach, the Mullet, the Pirate. Two high-flying offenses. I only watched Oklahoma State play one game this year. It was Oklahoma. They're the last week of the season, but they seem to be high-flying all over the field. I think, again, this will be another high-scoring contest that I think Oklahoma State's like number 5 in the country. I still think Mississippi State will whoop their ass. You know what I mean? Because they don't play the SEC West. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. I like that. It's funny you said that because I'm about to pull the old Sooners up here in a minute. Not the Sooners. I'm sorry, Cowboys here in a minute. Yeah.
Let's see if you're going where I think you're going, Shay. Texas A&M. Who you got them playing?
Oklahoma State. I figured, why not, man? You got a high-power offense. You got a high-power defense. Why not bring them together? Have a matchup we ain't seen in a while. I think it'd be fun for the fans. I think it'd be fun and entertaining. So, yeah, give me Oklahoma State, Texas A&M.
Now, the matchup I want to see, Shane, Texas A&M versus Texas Longhorns. Oh, wait a second. The Longhorns are not bowl eligible.
Oh.
You know, they
We're
expanded,
back.
Shane.
No, you're not.
I don't know if you saw this, Shane. They just expanded. So now they're going to have 42 bowls. They just announced this. They're going to add one this year. And Texas will not be. They expanded the field, and they still can't get the Longhorns in there.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately, we can't.
You sure they can't add one more down there in Austin? Just like, don't forget this one.
No, so I want to see the Aggies actually play a good team from the state of Texas. Oklahoma State, that would be a hell of a matchup too. But I'm going versus number 9 Baylor. Shane, Dave Aranda, of course, used to be LSU defensive coordinator. Now he's got that thing going down there. I think Baylor's playing for the Big 12 championship. They may win it, but if they win it, we probably couldn't get this game. But if they lose, Texas A&M Baylor, I think that'd be a hell of a bowl game.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that would be, man. And good for recruiting, too.
Yeah. Now, how about the Florida Gators? Who you want to see them play?
Florida had a rough year, Mike. You know who they didn't have a rough time with, though? Every team from Florida. I mean, if you think about it, these guys, they beat every Florida team that they faced this year. Miami's who I'm picking, but they got FSU, they got FAU, USF. So let's just go ahead and close this thing down. I couldn't do UCF, already used Gus. So I'm going to go Miami. I think Miami, Florida would be a great game. I think it's good, because when you talk about building a program, you do it by securing the borders. How do you do that? By beating every team that's in it. So give me Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, and I think that'd probably be a really good selection, Shane, because fan bases like Florida may not get up for a bowl game if you're playing some off the wall team, but if you're playing a rival,
right,
particularly an in-state, you get up for it. But I'm going with my theme, Shane, of toppling these ranked teams. How about, this just sounds interesting to me, Florida versus number 12 BYU. BYU's number 12. What? Give me a break. Get that out of here. I think the Gators, imagine the Gators beat number 12 in the country, which, again, I think the Gators may be the favorite in this matchup. But more than anything, I think I just get pissed off when I see these rankings next to these bogus teams. You know what?
BYU number 12. What are we ranking here? Cleanest universities? What's going on here?
All right, how about Kentucky, Shane? Who you want to see the Wildcats play?
Oh man, Kentucky. This was probably the easiest one. I want to see Kentucky. I mean, they've already beat Louisville, so let's just go ahead and close it down. The trifecta. Go up there, Cincinnati, and whoop them Bearcats. I mean, I think it's good for the recruiting. I think it's good for national media to show just the kind of the same thing that you're talking about. These guys are ranked way too higher than they should be. You play a team like Kentucky, a team that hasn't had the best year, but still would destroy a top 4 team in the country, just blowing these polls out of the water. So, yeah, I would love nothing more than to see Kentucky destroy Cincinnati.
For me, Shane, hey, that's a great pick. But one I think, it's also regional, another ranked opponent. Wake Forest, who's number 16. I can't believe that. But Kentucky whooping up on Wake Forest, who's their head coach was the former offensive coordinator down there at Tennessee, Dave Clawson. And I have watched them a little bit. They're an exciting team. They have a good offense that's ripped up the ACC. I don't know how good it'd be in the SEC, but we know Kentucky's got them in offense. I think that'd be a nice back-and-forth battle.
Oh, yeah, for sure that would be.
How about Missouri? Who you got them Tigers playing?
Probably the toughest one, Mike. I'm not going to lie. I went round and round on this thing. I'm going to give up a later pick here in a minute, but I almost went App State just because.
Oh yeah.
But I mean that was just, it seemed too easy. So what I did, I went just right down the street, Kansas State. This is two teams that used to play each other. There's been some great games come out of it. I still think with the way that they're recruiting, they got to secure that area. You know what I'm saying? That Missouri, that St. Louis area. You do that by beating teams down the street. So, yeah, give me Mizzou, Kansas State.
Well, it's interesting, Sean. We almost went in the same angle here, but because I'm going against a former Big 12 opponent as well, a team that had a lot of hype in the preseason, kind of like Missouri. Neither one quite lived up to the expectations this season, but I think will make for a heck of a bowl game. How about Iowa State, Shane, who was a big preseason favorite to win that conference? They didn't get it done, but they got some good players. I think Missouri, Iowa State, I think that's a game both fan bases will get up for, and two of the rising coaches in college football. So, I don't know. That just seems like an intriguing matchup to me.
Dude, yeah, I think that'd be a hell of a matchup. And I think it'd be a good signature win for Mizzou. That's what they need here in a bowl game.
Now, how about South Carolina, Shane? Who you got them Gamecocks playing?
Well, I want the Gamecocks to win, so it changed my feel. There's some deep down seated hate that I'd love to see South Carolina beat, but I don't think their team's just ready. So what I did is what I told you earlier. I went App State because the last time these two met, there's no reason South Carolina should have lost that game. So there's no reason they should lose this one. So yeah, give me App State. App State. They won. I told them I'd never use that Y again, but give me them and the Gamecocks.
Oh yeah, I like that pick. That'd be one that a game that a Gamecocks certainly could win. I went with a little bit more high profile of an opponent, Shane. How about South Carolina versus Penn State? Penn State annually overrated. Get them down here in the South, maybe like the Music City Bowl. I think the Gamecocks will be fired up to play in that one. And I'd love to see James Franklin lose to Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks before the season ends. You know what?
Yeah, in Nashville one more time.
Which I don't even know if James Franklin is allowed in the city limits,
No. There'll be a lot of anchors down in the back of his car, man.
All right, last but not least, Shane, save this one for you. Tennessee Vols, who you want to see them play in a bowl game?
Oh, Mike, Mike made this list. He said, Shane, just pick a team that you think would go against. And if you see a theme here, Mike, I'm picking 2. So why stop now? So this one, I first went straight thought. I was like, man, I'd love to have another shot at Pitt. But then I thought, I don't want to hear about this quarterback's relationship with Peyton Manning anymore. I said, I've already made it through 60 minutes of that. I don't want to go back. So forget Pitt. Forget all the Johnny Majors talk. Here's what I want, Mike. Oklahoma, because they steal all their recruits. They want our coach, and they don't want them volunteers, baby. So that's who I want to see. I want to see, hey, you took them all through the transfer. You did all that dirty shit, Lincoln, and then you got out of here. So I want to take the Tennessee Volunteers over there and whoop up on them Sooners.
Ooh, hey, that's probably even better than my pick, Shane, and I like mine. How about Tennessee? You're talking about you want to put them in the rankings. Let's give them a ranked opponent, number 20, Clemson. I think that'd be a hell of a matchup. Tennessee's offense, Clemson's defense, Dabo the crybaby, Josh Heupel, the X's and O's wizard over there on Rocky Top. Maybe like in the Gator Bowl down there in the state of Florida. I think the nation would tune in for that one, just see which team is the real orange and white. These two have met in a bowl game before, and I think this time Tennessee gets them.
Yeah, well, color rush this game, No, it's a little too much orange. No, I think I'd love to do this, Mike, because for a couple of reasons. If you look at some of the down years of recruiting for Tennessee, it has always seemed like that's the time when Clemson started recruiting well.
Yep.
So, hell, they came in our backyard several times. So there is some deep-seated hate when you think about quarterbacks that went here and quarterbacks that should have went there. So,
right.
Yeah, this is a rivalry that we don't know about. So, Tennessee Vols and too, but yeah, I'd like to see that matchup as well, Mike.
All right, Shane. So
but Oklahoma's done it sooner. So the pun intended. So I want to go over there, man.